Anna here, an office worker on my way back to my hometown. While stopping at a service station to rest, a charred corpse crawled onto my car roof. It threatened me, demanding that I take it home to see its parents one last time. I told it that someone had sealed off the path between the living and the dead, so it absolutely couldn't leave this service station. But there was one thing I didn't say. The one who did this was none other than its own flesh and blood. I drove into the service station late at night to rest, and immediately a sense of unease washed over me. Even though the place was brightly lit, not a soul was in sight. "Why is there no one here?" I mumbled. The highway on the way home was completely jammed. Just a moment ago, when a few drivers got out to smoke, I heard them discussing finding a rest stop. And this was the nearest one, so it couldn't possibly be so utterly deserted. Everything around exuded an inexplicable eeriness. My head inexplicably felt numb. I cautiously scanned the empty grand hall. Just then, a series of piercing, crackling sounds suddenly came from the hot water dispenser, startling me and forcing me to look in that direction. And as my eyes swept over, I froze when I saw a crouching humanoid shadow behind the water dispenser, near the dark wall, looking like it was gnawing on something. My throat went dry. I leaned forward, trying to get a clearer look. Unexpectedly, that humanoid shadow suddenly snapped its head around. This time, I saw it clearly, a body rough like pine bark, with faint embers sparkling all over it. Every inch of its flesh seemed as though it could be peeled away with ease. The sight terrified me so much that I instantly flung the instant noodles from my hand. "What the hell are you?" That thing seemed startled by me too. It immediately dropped to all fours and quickly scuttled away. Zephyr and I encountered this service station on our way back home for Lunar New Year. The traffic jam lasted until 8 or 9 p.m. Tired and hungry, we just wanted to find a place to rest and regain our strength. As I was thinking this, not far away, a service station indeed appeared. The Limbo Rest Stop. This area was completely deserted, with only a small hill to the southwest. On the hill, a solitary grave stood starkly. More frighteningly, a bizarre plume of pitch-black smoke billowed from the grave. I didn't think much of it and drove straight in. But just as I turned in, I saw a string of drivers behind me all looking in my direction, and their gaze was incredibly peculiar. What are they looking at? Such a large service station, and they're not even stopping to rest. Zephyr couldn't wait and got out of the car first to find food, saying he'd see what was good for me. The result was that just as I finished putting on my down jacket, he came running back to the car, clutching a wad of hell money, terrified out of his wits, searching for a weapon. "Ghosts, ghosts," I advised him to calm down. "Aren't you a demon yourself?" "I'm a handsome demon, but that thing inside is a charred, vengeful spirit, barely human." He raised his spirit-slaying blade before his chest, clutched my arm, and looked fearfully in the direction he had just come from. Following his gaze, the dining room, which had been warm with yellow lights, suddenly erupted in a towering surge of black and red malevolent energy. A pungent, burnt smell immediately assaulted my nose. I still need to fill my stomach first, then we'll see. I frequently encountered such things, so I wasn't overly worried. Anyone who had visited my incense shop knew my incense had miraculous effects. My name is Anna, owner of an incense shop, and also the 99th generation successor of Master Qin, Su Ying. Selling incense was my side job. My main profession was actually exorcising evil spirits and slaying demons. This was also why it had its eyes on me. I just didn't expect that luring me into this service station was merely one link in its plan. It seemed this limbo rest stop truly had a problem. I took another box of braised beef noodles from the shelf, intending to leave quickly. But just then, the ceiling lights began flickering continuously, then exploded one after another from far to near. Darkness fell too swiftly. Seeing this, I hurriedly borrowed the last vestiges of light and dashed out the door. But the moment my hand touched the doorknob, it suddenly became scorching hot, like a heated iron rod, biting into my hand painfully. The searing pain made me instantly snatch my hand back. I turned, wanting to find some tool to open this door. However, what I saw when I turned back was a scene of a raging fire with billowing black smoke. The ferocious flames surged, and the instant noodles in my hand instantly turned to ash. There was clearly no one around, yet desperate cries for help echoed in my ears. The entire dining area was engulfed in a thick, acrid smell of burning and dark red ashes. Could it be that charred demon? "Come out and speak if there's something to say, don't just play pretend." Silence answered my words. After waiting a long time, not even half a ghost was seen, so I had to calm myself and began chanting a spell. Heaven and earth, mysterious origins, root of all energies, cultivating eons, manifesting my divine power. Seen yet unseen, heard yet unheard. Golden light quickly appears, protect my body. In a flash, a golden light enveloped the scene before my eyes. When I opened my eyes again, I clearly saw reality. Here, there were only pitch black, smoke-stained walls and charred fragments of tiles and scrap metal. There was no hot water dispenser or shelves here at all. I quickly opened the door and left. Outside, the parking lot was overgrown with weeds. And then I saw it. My car was nestled amidst waist-high grass. The flickering light from it looked like the breath of a lurking demon, biding its time in the dark night. A cold chill ran down my spine. Could that thing be waiting for me in the car? I rushed madly towards the car, but this path was completely different from when we arrived. Everywhere were gravel, shards of glass, and dry branches obstructing my path. Arriving there, I searched the entire car inside out to check, but strangely, I found nothing unusual. How could that be? Could this strong, burnt smell throughout the car be coming from *me? Zephyr, hugging a cat at the moment, curiously asked me repeatedly, Well. Did you meet it? Meet your head, you don't even know. Heaven save me, meet who? That charred corpse. My face instantly stiffened, then I quickly turned to look at Zephyr. He hurriedly avoided my gaze. Why do you seem so eager for me to encounter that corpse? I shot him a suspicious glance, then turned the car key, deciding to leave immediately. But the moment the car engine started, a clattering, thumping sound suddenly echoed on the car roof. The urgent, piercing noise tore through the desolation of the night, tightening my chest. I held my breath and very slowly looked up at the car roof. And then, through the sunroof, a pair of bloodshot eyes glared intensely at me. It was a girl with a face riddled with horrific burns, but looking slightly better than before. She was crawling on my car roof, knocking again and again. Seeing me look at her, she bared her blackened teeth, chuckled eerily, and knocked even more furiously, asking, Have you seen my brother? Have you seen my brother, have you? Yes, now get down, you'll damage my car. I was quite angry. I paid extra for this panoramic sunroof. My words seemed to have an effect. She immediately stopped knocking, then just tilted her head, gazing at me blankly, a little lost. Immediately after, the girl used both her hands and feet to crawl down from the car roof, then excitedly bounced around my car. She was only wearing a red dress, looking even more stark and thin in the biting winter cold. It's so cold in winter, and she's dressed so lightly, her family doesn't even know to care. I reluctantly rolled down the window and called her closer. But the moment she leaned close, a flash of golden light instantly erupted from the car body. As if burned, she recoiled a big step in fear. Why were you crawling on my car roof? Your car door is very hot. I secretly felt lucky. It's a good thing there's still a talisman in the car to prevent wild spirits from entering and causing trouble. Have you seen my brother? She asked again. I was about to say no, but then I suddenly realized I didn't even know what her brother looked like. What if I really had met him? What does your brother look like? Just as I was seriously asking, my uncooperative stomach rumbled loudly. Let's eat and talk. I'll treat you to chicken feet, don't be shy. Of course, I wouldn't go, but Zephyr whispered in my ear, She's a vengeful spirit. Just agree to whatever she says. Absolutely do not provoke her. Don't be fooled by how harmless she seems now. When she turns dangerous, not a blade of grass will grow for 100 miles around. I didn't know if he was deliberately enticing me for the food, but Zephyr was a living dictionary of mystic arts. Even if I didn't believe in ghosts, I had to believe his smooth-talking mouth. So I hid the heavenly canopy rod in the inner pocket of my down jacket, with Zephyr following behind me. 2 minutes later, I once again stepped into the service area's restaurant. But the moment I opened the door, light suddenly appeared, and the rich aroma of food assaulted my nose. Beside the shelves, a tall, burly man suddenly appeared, standing with his back to us so we couldn't clearly see his face. Strange, there was clearly no one here before. That man was the supermarket owner. He had just received a new shipment. When we entered, he was arranging the shelves. The girl took 10 chicken feet and happily chatted with the owner. Then she pointed at me, sitting at the large table. I quickly grinned foolishly at him. Unexpectedly, a sudden cold gust of wind blew. My smile instantly froze on my face, because I saw the owner's head directly tilt back 180 degrees. His eye sockets were like burnt tree hollows, and only one ear remained on either side. His head hung upside down, staring at me for a long time, his body rigid, not moving at all. I suppressed my fear, hardened my face, and forced myself to stare straight at him. Just then, the girl shifted her gaze from me to him, and just like that, he immediately returned to his normal appearance. I was still scared and looked at Zephyr. Why do I feel like she doesn't know the supermarket owner is a ghost? Of course, she doesn't know. She doesn't even know she's a ghost. Absolutely don't let her find out. The girl said her name was Phoebe. I thought you wouldn't even pay attention to me. There are so few people here. No one who comes bothers to talk to me. Only Uncle Lou, the supermarket owner, and Ms. Quean at the gas station talk to me. Phoebe said her brother had a stomachache earlier. She was supposed to wait for him to finish in the restroom, then they'd go back to the car together. But I've eaten one, then another. It feels like I've eaten so many chicken feet and he's still not out. Uncle Lou went in there. He said my brother isn't in the restroom. My brother is so adorable, I'm scared someone kidnapped him. Seeing that I was only listening and not eating, Phoebe quickly pushed the chicken feet towards me. Eat, go on, eat. I glanced at the chicken feet on the table, charred black, then looked at Zephyr, who was eating heartily. Then I silently swallowed and politely refused, but Phoebe was incredibly stubborn. She kept insisting I eat, so the chicken feet kept being pushed back and forth. Zephyr couldn't bear to watch anymore and blurted out, "She won't eat them. She can't eat food meant for the dead." As soon as these words left his mouth, Phoebe's face instantly changed. A strange mist quickly emanated from her, and black blood immediately streamed from her eye sockets. The heavenly canopy rod in my hand began to stir. The chicken feet shattered with a asterisk pop asterisk, bone fragments splattering onto Zephyr. I'm dead? How could I be dead? I clearly have flesh and blood. Phoebe's mouth gaped wide, black as pitch inside, emitting thick black smoke. I quickly waved my hand, and Zephyr pulled out a protective mirror from his chest, holding it up to Phoebe. In the mirror, her features were terribly distorted and grotesque, like a burnt, human-shaped lump of charcoal. A burning branch was impaled horizontally through her neck. I stared at Phoebe cautiously, knowing that once a vengeful spirit fully manifests, disaster will strike within a 10-mile radius. A fierce battle was about to unfold, but I waited several seconds, and the imagined scene didn't appear. I thought she would fly to the ceiling and shriek, or at the very least, rush at me and wail like a banshee. But she did nothing, only ran circles in place. I'm dead, I'm dead. Ah, how can I be dead? I struggled so hard to survive, I'm going to die? After running several laps, she suddenly skidded to a halt right in front of us. How did you two find out I'm dead? Didn't you notice that you and I are dressed for different seasons? Some people like to wear winter clothes in summer, and summer clothes in winter, just like him. He likes to wear ancient-style clothing. I told Phoebe that she probably died in a fire 10 years ago. There were 3 victims then, and she was one of them. Phoebe sadly sat down on the chair. Her tears of blood, streaming from her eye sockets, were mixed with ashes. It's good that my brother is safe. I thought I had lost him. I didn't even dare to look for Mom and Dad. I was wondering why they didn't come looking for me. It turns out it's because I'm dead. I casually comforted Phoebe a little, intending to offer her a year-end bonus, free transcendence for her soul. Let's resolve this quickly. I'm in a hurry to find a nearby hotel to sleep. But I didn't expect Phoebe to have other ideas. I want to hitch a ride with you. Will you take me to find my parents? I'm not familiar. I'm a red-clad, vengeful spirit. My eyes widened, then I looked at her with a smug expression. Good heavens, she's really something else. Before I could refuse again, Zephyr agreed for me. Then he put on a serious face and asked me, she just wants to see her parents one time. Why wouldn't a kind master like you help her? The next day I took Phoebe, preparing to leave, but unexpectedly the car suddenly and inexplicably stalled just as we reached the highway entrance. I restarted it multiple times, only for it to stall multiple times. I frowned, looking at Zephyr in the passenger seat, whose expression also wasn't very good. Both of us spoke in unison, lost souls, trapped spirits. I looked at Phoebe through the rearview mirror, but she seemed utterly oblivious. All around us, there was nobody, utter silence. I handed Phoebe a black umbrella for her to move around under the sun. Phoebe was only 16 when she died, still with a lively, childlike innocence. She skipped like a fawn, so she quickly ran far ahead of us. But whenever she reached a certain point, she seemed to hit an invisible pane of glass, unable to break through. It wasn't until we arrived at a solitary grave that I saw a strange black aura rising from the top of the grave, continuously coiling around the tombstone. And the person in the black and white photo on the tombstone was clearly Phoebe. After walking for a while, Phoebe noticed we had stopped. What have you two found? Phoebe curiously looked at the tombstone before her. The strange thing was that she couldn't see the image or the name on it. This tombstone is really strange. Why are there no words on it? I shook my head gravely. It's not that there are no words, it's that you can't see them. Someone has specifically tended to this place and set up a spirit trapping formation. I picked up a branch from the ground and drew the path we had just walked, marking 28 points. The spirit trapping formation is what people usually call a thunder pool. This solitary grave is located in the southwest Kun sector, using the 28 mansions as its formation, displaying 28 coins soaked in rooster blood. The spirit inside can only operate within the formation's controlled range. This is why you couldn't leave the service station. Someone wants to harm me. I hesitated for a moment, not necessarily to harm you, perhaps you just stumbled upon it by chance. So what should we do? Should we dig up those coins? Phoebe asked me innocently. Zephyr heard this and shook his head. Troublesome. The weather is cold, the ground is frozen, digging is not easy. Finding all 28 coins is easier said than done. Then we'll release all the death aura from the grave. As soon as my words ended, Phoebe weakly tried to stop me. Digging up graves isn't very nice. It's okay, the owner of the grave will understand. Zephyr and I drove to a nearby town to buy some tools. Before leaving, I promised Phoebe that we would return immediately. On the way, both of us were silent for a long time, then Zephyr spoke first. Blood seeped beneath the tombstone, and death aura filled the grave. In the azure dragon position, a black-fanged venomous snake was buried. In the white tiger position, a black cat with golden eyes. I sighed. I saw it too. This isn't an ordinary spirit trapping formation. This is a blood curse spirit trapping formation. It cannot be activated by anyone who is not of the same bloodline. Breaking the formation was not difficult. We bought an iron shovel and then borrowed some black dog blood and rooster tail feathers from local animals. After digging up the venomous snake and black cat, we stuck rooster tail feathers on top of the grave as a conduit, helping the black dog blood seep in. Before long, a black aura immediately gushed out from the ground around the grave, then dispersed in all directions. As we drove away, 2 ghosts stood waving at us at the highway entrance. Phoebe lay sprawled in the back seat, sadly watching herself slowly leave the service area. She hadn't realized that the people who had been by her side day and night were actually ghosts. How pathetic. Who exactly did that thunder pool formation intend to harm among them? I glanced through the rearview mirror, originally intending to comfort Phoebe, but the moment she turned her head, I saw a fleeting, cunning smile on her face. Perhaps I misread her. Phoebe was immersed in the joy of soon reuniting with her parents, so she was very excited the whole way. My bedroom was made exactly like a Barbie doll's in a 1:1 scale. I even had a princess dress just like Barbie's. You two probably won't believe it, but before I was 6, I didn't even know fish had bones. My favorite thing to eat was Big White Rabbit milk candy. My 6th birthday present was a huge box of Big White Rabbit milk candy. I also want to go home and play on the swing. My dad specially made it for me when I was 6. I tried to listen and smiled. But Phoebe's descriptions gradually became exaggerated, almost saying she actually lived in a castle. I found it a bit hard to keep up. Zephyr next to me gave up, then suspiciously asked, "Why do you remember everything so clearly before you were 6? Didn't anything happen after you turned 6? Phoebe suddenly fell silent, her previously joyful smile instantly darkening. For the rest of the journey, no one spoke a word. An hour later, following the address Phoebe gave, we arrived at a small town full of life. If we went straight ahead, there would be an archway. My house is right behind the archway, about 200 meters. If you help a ghost, help them all the way. I decided to first investigate which blood relative had set up this spirit-trapping formation, so I used the excuse of giving her parents some psychological preparation to have Phoebe stay at the hotel. Before leaving, I didn't forget to remind Zephyr, this is a bustling neighborhood, she absolutely cannot leave this door. If you provoke the city god, it'll be big trouble. I sat under the archway, eating a large bowl of noodles. It was cold, so the broth cooled very quickly. Just then, an auntie was basking in the sun next to me. I quickly asked her if there were any Tran families nearby with a swing in their yard. The auntie thought for a long time. Just when I thought all hope was lost, she suddenly pointed down the street, furtively gesturing for me to look. That's her. The person you're looking for must be her, Ms. Dung of the Tran family. Her eldest daughter was burned to death. I followed her gaze and saw a woman with a hurried, somewhat weathered appearance. She was Phoebe's mother, Ms. Dung. I was about to leave when the auntie quickly grabbed my arm and said mysteriously, "That family's house is very evil." A few years ago, their son was possessed by evil spirits, and a group of strange people in white kept going in and out. After hearing this, I looked at Ms. Dung with a complicated expression. Withered wood yearns for spring, a lone boat meets a great storm, heaven and earth turn upside down, fortune dimmed like sun and moon. I followed behind Ms. Dung and recited a series of divination verses. As expected, she became curious. She hesitated a few times, then couldn't help but turn around and ask me to explain. I assumed a profound air and assessed her physiognomy. In your destiny, there should have been one daughter and one son. Sadly, the daughter died young and the son is sickly and weak. No, that daughter is speaking right now. I suddenly fell silent. Ms. Dung looked at me anxiously, her eyes full of pleading. What about now? Don't stop halfway. I suddenly lifted my head and stared into her eyes. Now that daughter is coming to claim a life. Ms. Dung's face instantly turned ashen, her pupils distorted, and she began to mumble to herself. She's back, she's finally back. On the way home with Ms. Dung, she was so scared she almost hung her entire body on me. Phoebe didn't lie to me. There was indeed a swing in the yard, and a blanket was currently drying on it. Ms. Dung urged me to quickly enter the living room. I stepped in without hesitation. But the moment I entered the living room, I suddenly realized something was wrong. When I looked up, my eyes instantly darkened, because directly opposite the main door was a pitch-black ancestral tablet, radiating a gloomy, ghostly aura. In front of the tablet was a full box of big white rabbit milk candy. No, the placement of this tablet is wrong, and the punitive energy is also wrong. But just as I approached the tablet, wanting to examine it closely, a deep, warm male voice shouted, stopping me. What are you doing? Stay away. Ms. Dung quickly stopped him, then whispered in his ear for a while. In a flash, his face instantly turned paper white, but before 3 seconds passed, it turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Playing the ghost god, young people nowadays don't learn good things. Instead, they learn to fake blindness and tell fortunes. I have no fortune-telling skills, I just have a pair of rather good eyes. I've met Phoebe. I turned my back to the main door for an easier escape later. You've met her. How did you find our house? Who sent you? What for? Blackmail or fraud? Phoebe sent me? Impossible, absolutely impossible. Mr. Tran pressed closer step by step while I slowly retreated. But just then, a strong hand gripped me tightly. It was Ms. Dung. She said in an urgent voice, let me ask you one question. If you can answer it, I'll believe you've met her. If you, go ahead and ask. I used to ask Phoebe. Mother wants Phoebe to be her daughter for 10,000 years. Does Phoebe want that? I hesitated for a moment, then spoke. Pooh. As soon as these words left my mouth, Ms. Dung instantly cried tears of laughter, then her expression turned sorrowful. It's Phoebe. Whenever Phoebe wanted to agree but was shy, she would giggle and say, pooh. Cry, 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 what's there to cry about? Are you crying because she's coming to take a life? Mr. Tran shot Ms. Dung an irritated glance. I stared at their reaction and then explained. I made that up. Phoebe probably misses you too. After all, she hasn't reincarnated yet, so visiting her family is normal. We don't want to see her. If you can talk to her, please persuade her to go back. Mr. Tran casually picked up a cigarette, but he tried lighting it repeatedly, but no flame came, so he had to toss it back onto the table. At this moment, Ms. Dung's face showed signs of exhaustion, her eyes fearfully fixed on the lighter on the table. You don't know, apart from taking a life, she has no reason to come back. Because of that fire, or because she couldn't reincarnate? I calmly observed their reactions. This child Phoebe was very well behaved from a young age. If we had watched her carefully when she was 5 or 6, this wouldn't have happened. Ms. Dung said Phoebe was very beautiful, but if she had known this would happen, she wouldn't have made her so beautiful. That day was Phoebe's 6th birthday. When she was playing with a small leather ball in the yard, the ball suddenly bounced out into the street. Her father went inside to get the birthday cake for at most 10 seconds. Really, when he came back out, Phoebe was gone. On the long, wide street, only the small leather ball was bouncing up and down. The parents searched in vain. Then, to soothe the pain of losing their child, 2 years later they had a son, Vance. When Vance was 7, a kind-hearted person rescued Phoebe from the wine cellar of a single old man, but Phoebe hated little Vance. There weren't many rooms in the house. When Phoebe returned home, that Barbie princess room had been turned into Vance's bedroom. Her parents wanted to partition off a room for her in the West Wing, but time was too short, so Phoebe had to temporarily spread a mat on the floor in her brother's room. The result was that troubles came one after another. First, her brother's glasses were scratched by stones. His completed homework was covered in scribbled stick figures. Then things got worse when the hamster her brother raised died tragically in its cage. Outside the window, strangely dead birds appeared. Ms. Dung always felt something was wrong, but her brother always said it was his own carelessness, his own fault. "Don't blame my sister," he always said. "Don't blame my sister." He always said that the mountain was too evil, making his sister become such a sister. However, these words only made the parents, still unaccustomed to their daughter's return, even more certain. Phoebe was no longer the Phoebe they knew. She had learned bad habits in the mountains. She lied, smoked, skipped school, and bullied her brother. It wasn't until that time that the situation suddenly became irreparable. During summer vacation, the whole family went on a road trip. When they reached the service station, Phoebe took her brother to the restroom. After the children left, the father wanted to smoke a cigarette to relax a bit, but he couldn't find his lighter anywhere. The lighter was right in my jacket pocket. Phoebe had folded it for me and put it in the back seat. Just as the father was about to go borrow a light, the gas station exploded. A massive boom instantly rang out, smoke and dust filled the air, and behind them buildings could collapse at any moment. In the glow of the fire, her brother screamed. The parents rushed forward, embracing their son, the whole family hugging each other tightly. But where was Phoebe? I was a little surprised. Mr. Tran banged his head, troubled. "I forgot, I didn't mean to. Really, Phoebe, She hadn't been with us for many years by then. By the time I remembered and wanted to rush into the fire, the entire service station had collapsed. Later, the police found the source of the fire at the gas station scene. A fragment of a lighter was left there. Phoebe started the fire. I knew she wanted to burn Vance to death. Ms. Dung cried uncontrollably. I wondered why I had treated both children without favoritism, so I didn't know where she got so much hatred. That was her own brother. Even with that outcome, she still didn't intend to spare her brother. Ms. Dung said. After that incident, Vance would scream in terror every night, and his whole body would convulse ceaselessly in his sleep. Later, an old Taoist priest from the deep mountains passed by, begging for alms, and said that an evil spirit had come to this house and refused to leave. As soon as I heard this, I knew it was Phoebe. She was angry. She was angry that she was the one who died, not her brother. The old Taoist priest said they had to set up a formation where she died. Only by purifying her vengeful spirit for 50 years could she enter the Yellow Springs. But now, she's gotten out ahead of schedule. I don't know what she told you, but we know very well she wants to come and kill Vance. As soon as these words left his mouth, I frowned deeply. How can this be? Phoebe back then was just a freshly dead ghost. No matter how strong her resentment, it would be very difficult for it to transform into a vengeful spirit capable of showing up at the door. I quickly pointed at the ancestral tablet and asked Ms. Dung, "So who placed this ancestral tablet? Was it that old Taoist priest?" Ms. Dung shook her head. "It was Vance. That child is very honest, always crying and asking for his sister. He chose the position himself, saying that as soon as he returned home, he could see his sister. How could it be Vance? The ancestral tablet was placed directly opposite the main door. This is a formation of slaying to nurture slaying, something not arranged by an ignorant child. Could it be an accidental coincidence? I wanted to see Phoebe's ancestral tablet. I immediately stood before it, intending to examine it carefully. From the moment I stepped through the door, I had briefly glimpsed a black aura swirling behind the tablet. This is... Just then, Mr. Tran suddenly roared in anger. "What's there to see? I'll tell you straight. If you really have the skill, then Phoebe's purpose in returning is to kill Vance once again." The house door suddenly swung open, and a gust of cold wind carrying fine snow swept in. A voice from a figure standing against the light suddenly rang out. "Who wants to kill me?" I looked up and saw a thin, sickly-looking young man at the door, his face ashen white. Ms. Dung quickly wiped away her tears and gestured to me. "You misheard. It's kill a chicken for guests." I am the daughter of your maternal grandfather's niece, your cousin." I lied, claiming to be a distant relative, and hurried away. But before I had gone far, Vance chased after me from behind. "You're my sister's friend, right? Most of our distant relatives are dead. Am I just conveniently the one who isn't dead yet?" I looked at Vance cautiously. His face was crystal clear. "You are my sister's friend. She's back looking for me, right? She's left that formation." I showed no expression. Vance, however, was incredibly excited. His lips inexplicably turned fiery red. "I've said it before, she doesn't want to kill me at all. She misses me." Vance gripped my hand tightly. Gripped like that, I was a little slow to react. My parents basically didn't believe it, so they insisted on setting up some formation. They don't know how much she protected me. Before I got on a local motorbike taxi, Vance's tears began to fall profusely. "I want to see her. I want to see my sister. What should I do?" The snow fell heavier and heavier. I quickly comforted him. Next time if I happen to meet her, I'll pass on your message." The motorbike taxi sped away. In the rearview mirror, I saw Vance's face filled with sorrow. Did Phoebe really want to kill him? Was the truth I just heard the whole truth of that year? Could the blood curse spirit trapping formation truly have been set up to stop Phoebe's malicious actions? I endured a stretch of cold wind, constantly replaying the sequence of events in my mind. As soon as I got out of the car and stepped through the hotel's main door, a wave of heat immediately hit me. The reception desk was surrounded by a chaotic crowd of guests. Can't control the central air conditioning? Whose room keeps skyrocketing to over 30 degrees? Exactly. Look for yourself, it's almost 40 deg C. If the hotel can't handle it, then don't run one. They advertise it as a new hotel, operating for less than half a year, but the electrical wiring is already aged. The banquet hall manager smiled, trying to appease both parties. I suddenly realized something was wrong. Oh no! I squeezed through the crowd and ran straight to the living room. As expected, Phoebe had transformed into a red-clad vengeful spirit, plastered to the ceiling, confronting Zephyr, who held the spirit-slaying blade. All the power outlets in the room were emitting piercing, crackling sounds. Zephyr chuckled coldly. "You want to escape my grasp? Do you truly think I'm a weakling?" Phoebe shrieked, then, like a raging fire, she swiftly plunged down, lunging towards Zephyr. "Stop fighting, both of you." I held the heavenly canopy rod, so angry I was about to chant the thunder incantation. It would be less troublesome if I just struck them dead. "I want to go see my parents. What right do you have to stop me? Didn't I tell you? Wait for the master to return and I'll naturally take you. But I want to go right now." A flash of golden light struck down, and both spirits recoiled a step. "I've met your parents." Phoebe, who had been glaring with the rage of a Vajra, suddenly showed a joyous expression, and the room's temperature instantly returned to normal. "So, did you tell them? Tell them about me? I have something else to tell you first." I hesitated, glancing at her. The heavenly canopy rod remained in my hand, hesitant to be lowered. "The spirit trapping formation at the service station was actually set up by your own family. They couldn't have." "How can that be? Did I do something wrong? I hadn't even finished speaking when Phoebe sadly burst into tears. I immediately explained. "I think it's most likely they were instigated by someone. Even now, they still think this formation is meant to help you. I want to go see them. I want to explain to them." Phoebe looked very anxious, not faking it, but I couldn't be sure. "You can't go. Your house has a corpse-trapping formation. I came back specifically to tell you about this. If you insist on seeing your parents, either they come out to meet you, or we must destroy the corpse-slaying formation. But the problem now is that ghosts cannot enter the house, and you cannot force your way in violently." I thought for a moment, then stood up. Zephyr realized something and stepped forward to stop me. "No. There's no no. Right now, there's only one way." That way was spiritual projection. I rarely used spiritual projection because it consumes a large amount of vital energy. And during the process of replenishing vital energy, I often gain weight. So I usually didn't use it, unless absolutely necessary. Because the distance for spiritual projection cannot exceed 1 kilometer, I went alone to a hotel near Phoebe's house. Actually, compared to having Phoebe meet her parents, I was more curious to know the truth of the story. I sat cross-legged on the bed, holding a yellow talisman, and began chanting the spirit-dispelling incantation. A moment later, an ethereal shadow detached from my body, then floated out the window. Today, the sky was gloomy with heavy snow, making spiritual projection a bit more convenient. Unexpectedly, just as I phased into Phoebe's courtyard, I heard Mr. Tran raging inside the house. "Say one more word. How can you have no shame? Can you show even a sliver of remorse? That was a human life, not a stranger, not old man Wang next door. That was your sister." Cough, cough. As I phased through the door, Vance suddenly turned his head and stared at my position. For a fleeting moment, I thought he saw me. "I'm talking to you, you bastard." Mr. Tran swung a slap at Vance's head. Ms. Dung painfully pulled her son behind her. "The dead are dead, but the living must go on living. Do you want to report him to the police?" Vance hid behind Ms. Dung, gave a cold, silent smile, his face no longer as innocent as when I had first met him. His eyes were gloomy, his lips pale. He said nothing, but he sent chills down one's spine. "He killed your own daughter. He's an arsonist, a murderer." "He didn't mean to. You also said she's my daughter. How could I not be heartbroken?" "Instead of standing here blaming a child, you should blame yourself. Why didn't you go save her then?" Ms. Dung spoke, beginning to beat her chest and stomp her feet, sobbing uncontrollably. Vance lowered his head, gave Ms. Dung a cold glance, and a cruel smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. But when he lifted his head again, he had changed to a different expression, one of grievance and sobbing. I didn't mean to. How was I to know it would burn so fiercely? At that time, I just wanted her to die alone. What did you just say? Mr. Tran stared at Vance in horror, and Ms. Dung also unconsciously took half a step back. Vance spoke in an incredibly calm, expressionless tone and continued. What did I say? I said if she dares to come, I'll kill her one more time. When Vance said this, whether intentionally or not, he suddenly glanced towards me, his eyes incredibly sinister. It seems breaking the corpse-slaying formation is no longer necessary. You can't even kill a chicken, let alone touch a person. Seeing Ms. Dung crying profusely, Mr. Tran finally compromised. He seemed to have made some kind of resolution. He sighed, then slowly spoke. Can that old Taoist priest still be found? Heavy snow, cold wind. I had been standing in front of the police station for over an hour. Once inside, what reason should I give for filing a report? That a red-clad vengeful spirit asked for my help, or that my spiritual projection eavesdropped on the truth? Not to mention these reasons sounded absurd and laughable. Even if they believed it, who would care about a 10-year-old arson case involving a 7-year-old child? As I was thinking, my face instantly became serious. Because in the traffic not far away, I saw Phoebe and Vance sitting together in a car. The two were chatting happily, but shouldn't Phoebe be at the hotel? I was about to give chase when my chest suddenly ached. Oh no, Zephyr is hurt. I couldn't focus on anything else, so I immediately turned and ran back to the hotel. But when I got back to the hotel, I was stunned. Zephyr was sitting neatly in the sunlight, leisurely watching the falling snow. I'm fine, just choked on some water. Is the corpse-slaying formation broken, Master? Even if it's not broken, it's fine. Someone's already knocking at the door. I knew Phoebe was hiding something from me, but I didn't expect this to be the result of a plan Zephyr and she had concocted together, leading me into a trap, tricking me into breaking the formation, using me as bait to lure Vance to their doorstep. Actually, before Zephyr ran out with the hell money, he had already spoken with Phoebe. I shot Zephyr a glare, then grabbed my backpack and angrily left. Before leaving, I told Zephyr, Vance is not as simple as you two imagine. He set up a deadly trap specifically to invite you into his snare. Perhaps Phoebe's parents knew where Vance would take Phoebe. When I arrived at the entrance of the Tran family house, I found the courtyard walls plastered with yellow talismans, and the entire house was enveloped in a golden light barrier. Ms. Dung, looking mysterious, was pacing around the house holding a peach wood sword. Ghosts cannot enter, ghosts cannot approach. Ghosts? Please calm down a bit. Even if she could enter, Phoebe wouldn't harm us. Mr. Tran impatiently stopped her, but I decisively pushed the door open and entered. Are you two trying to kill Phoebe again? Where is that old Taoist priest? Mr. Tran's face instantly changed. He stared at me tensely. What does that have to do with you? This is our family matter, I said seriously. Having accepted a task from someone, one must complete it. Phoebe is my client. I promised her I'd take her to meet her parents. But if Vance scatters her soul, she'll never be able to see her parents again. You're talking nonsense. Vance would never do that. He promised us he wouldn't kill Phoebe this time. Ms. Dung suddenly realized she had misspoken and quickly fell silent. You two truly know where they are. Mr. Tran stood tensely in front of me, his voice uncontrollably trembling. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. I was only afraid you wouldn't, so before coming here, I already made a call. I gazed at them with a somber expression. You two probably don't fully understand Phoebe. When she died, she was wearing red, which means she has transformed into a vengeful spirit. If Vance doesn't kill her, she will definitely kill Vance. I bet that even for a 1 in 10,000 risk, they wouldn't dare let Vance bear it. As expected, as soon as my words ended, both their faces instantly turned ashen white. Vance only said he was going near Mount Wine, but we don't know the exact location. On the way back to the hotel, I searched for information about Mount Wine. This mountain was located southeast of the town. After getting the approximate location, the next step was to use the vision mirror art to find some clues. The vision mirror art is a folk mystic technique, capable of investigating both the realms of yin and yang. It can find people and locate objects. Popular during the Republic era, it was often used to find lost children and livestock. First, I lay Xhuan paper over a bronze mirror, then spread sesame oil on the paper, and silently chanted the incantation 3 times. Jade wheel radiant, complete and unwavering, may spiritual energy descend to my divining period. When I flipped over the Xuan paper, Zephyr sat tensely to one side, stammering, I was wrong. If I had known Vance was a member of the immortal Path sect, I wouldn't have brought this trouble upon us. How about we just leave? One less problem is better than one more. Your skills aren't refined yet, what if they? I covered Zephyr's mouth with my hand, my eyes fixed on the bronze mirror which was beginning to show an image. The seeping sesame oil swirled irregularly on the mirror's surface, then quickly formed a blurry image. Vaguely, I could see a brick house, a solitary grave in the front yard, and a large jar in the back. I jumped up in excitement and quickly sketched the general appearance in my notes. Next, I pulled Zephyr along. This is the place. Don't blame yourself anymore, let's go. We asked for directions along the way and learned from nearby villagers that it was the graveyard at the foot of Mount Wine. That brick house used to have a gravekeeper, but now it's abandoned. But there are many forks in the mountain roads. We walked many mountain paths, wasting no small amount of time. I didn't know how much longer Phoebe could wait for us. Just then, a thick, dark purple mist suddenly rose from the distance. Zephyr's face instantly blanched in terror. Purple talismans, black aura, he wants to use a corpse to refine a soul. No wonder he used blood to seal the grave. So this was his purpose. He was so young back then. If he hadn't had a master guiding him from behind, he could never have possessed such cunning. Both of us rushed straight forward without thinking, intending to forge a new path. Just then, an old farmer carrying cabbages passed by, telling us to take the southwest path. The main road is flat and fast. You two should hurry, the sun is setting. After thanking the old farmer, both of us quickly continued on our way. The small path to the southwest grew narrower and narrower. Just as Zephyr was complaining, I suddenly stopped. Zephyr looked at me doubtfully. I slowly turned and looked back at the path we had taken, but the old farmer had long since disappeared. Earlier he said, you too should hurry. He said, you too, he could see you. He is that old Taoist priest from the deep mountains. I immediately felt something was wrong, then turned and went back the way we came. At this moment, fog inexplicably rose in the mountains. I couldn't even see 2 meters ahead. Try the U-step. I've been outside too long. I'll rest in the heavenly canopy rod for a bit. With that, Zephyr, without hesitation, hid inside the heavenly canopy rod. In the thick fog, I was left alone. I closed my eyes and calmed my mind for a moment. Right foot forward, left foot back, then right foot again, then left foot. Right, then left, right, then left. When I emerged from the thick fog, before my eyes was that large brick house. The chimney was cold and a desolate atmosphere surrounded it. Does it hurt? Good, it should hurt. The more pain, the better a divine weapon can be forged. Vance's sinister voice came from the backyard, followed by Phoebe's piercing screams. Sister, help me enter the sect. I'll remember your kindness. Sister, let me send you off one more time. Just as Vance raised the 3 Pure Ones bell, preparing to collect her soul, I, like a timely rain, arrived at the scene. Heavenly canopy, ninefold primordial slayer, majestic sword, divine king, slay evil, annihilate traces. 300,000 soldiers, guard my 9 heavens, accumulate 1,000 li, slay ghosts of 5 forms, hasten as per decree. In midair, an earth-shattering bolt of purple lightning struck the tip of the heavenly canopy rod, which I then swung directly towards Vance's 3 Pure Ones bell. Vance's 3 Pure Ones bell fell to the ground. Only then did I clearly see that bell was actually made of human bones. On its white bone surface, strands of blood-red threads swirled, emitting a gloomy blue light. From inside out, it exuded a malevolent aura. How could Master not stop them? Vance immediately picked up the 3 Pure Ones bell. He scrambled up from the ground and looked at me with angry eyes. What did you do to my master? At this moment, Phoebe was trapped inside a strange jar plastered with purple talismans, only her head exposed, so she naturally couldn't move. Zephyr chuckled coldly from the side. You want to use your own blood relative to refine a soul, to nurture your 3 Pure Ones bell? Useless. This technique was abandoned ages ago during the 5 Who 16 Kingdoms period. What do you know? Not just blood relatives, anyone who has feelings for me works, animals too. I've tried them all. Vance leaned against the strange jar, gazing greedily at Phoebe. There are so many blood relatives, yet why did you kill your sister first? As I spoke, Phoebe was secretly exerting strength, causing cracks to appear on the strange jar. Who told her to come back? Our family was peaceful with 3 people. As soon as she returned, everything changed. She stole everyone's attention and even pretended to be pitiful to gain sympathy. I hated her coming home. If she hadn't been a blood relative with some use, I would have scattered her soul long ago. As he spoke, Vance once again raised the Three Pure Ones bell and brought it down towards Phoebe's head. I swung the heavenly canopy rod, sending Vance flying. He fell heavily to the ground, then immediately spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. I went to his side and looked down at him. Does it hurt? Your pain is not even a 10,000th of Phoebe's pain when she was burned alive. Vance's eyes were bloodshot. He was still stubbornly and frantically struggling, warning me. So what? You want to kill me? When I killed her, I was only 7 years old. I won't face any judgment, but if you kill me, that's different. Crash. Before Vance could finish speaking, a crisp asterisk crack suddenly echoed and the strange jar shattered into pieces. Phoebe stepped out from behind me. She looked at Vance, her head tilted with an asterisk click asterisk, then revealed a sinister and evil smile. I can kill you. I quickly turned my back. This Mount Wine is too big. Even getting lost can lead to a murder case. Truly rare. As I was trying to come up with an excuse, two figures appeared in the distance. A familiar crying voice drifted from far to near. Phoebe, my Phoebe. Phoebe glanced at her parents, who were hurrying towards her. She tried to restrain the urge to rush forward and embrace them. But when she turned her back, I saw her tears had extinguished the sparks on her face. Ms. Dung's hand reached out towards Phoebe, then suddenly stopped in midair. She hesitated for a moment, then pulled it back. Mother only has this one child left. Vance, Mother has lost you. Perhaps having no face left to beg, Ms. Dung was a bit flustered. Mr. Tran glanced at Vance, sprawled on the ground. Seeing blood still on the corner of his mouth, he could only shake his head and sigh. You were born from the same root, why can't you forgive your brother? Phoebe turned in astonishment, her gruesome, deathly appearance, her body like dry tree bark, terrifying her parents. Look at me, both of you, look at me, who exactly can't forgive whom? Ms. Dung assessed Phoebe with a pained expression, but Mr. Tran, after several hesitations, began to rationalize. He wanted to seize a chance for Vance to live. You should be angry at us. It was our love for you that fostered Vance's jealousy. It was us. Stop giving me your hypocritical speeches. It was you who saw me run into the street and didn't stop me. It was you who clearly suspected Vance, yet still blamed me. The sparks on Phoebe's body suddenly flared up with a whoosh. Ms. Dung quickly spoke soothing words. Yes, it's all us, it's all the karma we created. Don't blame yourself, don't blame your brother. If you want to kill or cut, just aim at me. Phoebe looked at her mother's pleading expression, then felt sorrowful and shook her head. Actually, Mother knew all along. Please, Mother, don't say those words of love anymore. When I hear them, I only feel disgusted. Ms. Dung collapsed to the ground, sobbing silently. Mr. Tran's expression, however, was incredibly impatient. Even if your brother started the fire, should we really call the police to arrest him? For all these years, I've educated him well, and he knows he was wrong. As Mr. Tran spoke, a cold gust of wind swept in from behind Phoebe. Phoebe didn't turn around. She decisively pulled the branch from her neck, then swiftly swung her hand back and plunged it into Vance's body. All those actions took only 1 second. He will never feel remorse. The next second, the wailing cries of Mr. and Ms. Tran immediately echoed throughout the valley. The day I visited, the park was bathed in brilliant sunlight. Phoebe pushed a wheelchair, strolling by the lake. Seeing me approach, she gently wiped away Ms. Dung's tears, then smiled radiantly and walked towards me. Mother went mad, father is paralyzed. Vance and I share one body, but our whole family is finally together, which I guess is the sweet after the bitter. The only headache is that bastard constantly tries to drive me out. I left her a soul-stabilizing talisman, and she quickly transferred 10,000 yuan of earthly money to my card. Very soon, the impermanence guards came knocking. I didn't say another word and slammed the door, locking him outside. I know what you want to say, but Vance only has 3 years of life left. Help me extend his time in the underworld a bit, since we're so close. Zephyr and I discussed that old Taoist priest from the deep mountains, 8 parts likely a member of the Immortal Path sect. But why didn't he come back to save Vance? A seed chosen from childhood, there's no reason to abandon it. Later, when I met him again, I learned he had other plans. These few days, with my vital energy severely depleted, I rested at the hotel. My mother was worried. She even had to video call me when taking a walk. Hello, can you hear me? Bad signal. A strange sound suddenly came from the other end of the line. A rustling, scratching sound like a ghost. My face instantly changed, and I thought, this isn't good. Golden light quickly appears, protect my mother. Get out of my mother right now, hurry.